Abigail Anderson never imagined that life could push her to corners she had never thought she'd enter. But when your husband is a US Navy SEAL, the world seems to stretch and contract in ways you cannot control, and yet you try. I'm Abigail, and this is my story. A story of love, patience, loneliness, and the unexpected ways human connection can twist into situations you never intended. Back when I married Anderson, he was everything a woman could hope for: strong, loyal, fiercely dependable. The kind of man whose presence alone made the world feel secure, but that very security came at a cost. Long deployments, missed milestones, empty chairs at the dinner table, and a persistent echo of absence that no number of phone calls or video chats could fill. And alongside him in our home was Ethan, his childhood friend turned housemate, a bright, sensitive, 21-year-old whose presence became a constant in a house too often silent. Someone who reminded me of the warmth Anderson could not offer while away. And over time, Ethan became my anchor in ways I neither expected nor fully understood. Evenings filled with laughter over a shared meal, working together in the kitchen, casual conversations about life and dreams, and moments of quiet companionship that filled the hollows left by Anderson's duty. The story of our home, a modest 2-story house in San Diego with a white picket fence and a well-kept lawn, may have seemed idyllic from the outside. But within it, the lines between familial love and emotional dependence blurred subtly, almost imperceptibly at first, until one ordinary California afternoon, after a long day coaching volleyball at the community center, I found myself laughing with Ethan in the backyard, tossing the ball back and forth, teasing each other. The golden light of sunset spilling over the lawn, our competitive spirits keeping pace with one another, and in that ordinary joy, I felt a closeness that made the emptiness of months alone almost fade away. Yet with that closeness came a complicated tangle of feelings I could not easily untangle. The guilt, the longing, the subtle dependency, the way he trusted me with his thoughts, the way he sought my advice about career choices, and I caught myself noticing things about him I knew were inappropriate. And while intellectually I recognized the boundary, emotionally, I was lost, torn between my moral compass and the loneliness that had crept into my life like an uninvited guest. The weeks following Anderson's deployment were a repetitive cycle of work, errands, and stolen moments of companionship with Ethan. Grocery runs turned into shared laughter. Small victories in the kitchen turned into private jokes. And the house, which had once felt empty, now felt alive with a different kind of presence, one that was comforting, necessary, yet fraught with peril. The evenings grew long, and we spent time discussing philosophy, music, movies, and even past regrets. And in those moments, my identity as a stepmother, a mentor, a friend, and a lonely woman blurred into a single overwhelming emotion that made me question my own desires and boundaries. And I realized that Ethan, despite being fully an adult, represented a combination of trust, admiration, and emotional support that I had lacked for so long. The realization that my feelings were complicated, inappropriate in the sense of emotional dependency, yet not inherently sexual, forced me to confront myself in ways I had avoided. Every time I looked at him, I had to remind myself of his full adulthood, the responsibility I still bore as a caretaker figure, and the line between affection and attachment that I must never cross. And yet life, as it often does not wait for clarity. And one evening, while preparing dinner together, laughing over his slightly burnt pasta, the conversation turned personal, discussing dreams and fears, and the intimacy of trust. The shared vulnerabilities and the closeness of our laughter made the air heavy with unspoken tension, a tension born not of lust but of need, companionship, and emotional over-reliance. And I caught myself thinking about how much he relied on me, how much I relied on him, and the way our bond had evolved from casual friendship into something charged, precarious, and intoxicating. The nights were the hardest, when the house was quiet, Anderson miles away, and Ethan engrossed in his work or hobbies. The silence would press down on me, and I would replay every interaction, wondering if I had spoken too intimately, laughed too freely, shared too much. And when he came to me with his doubts about work or relationships, or simply to seek comfort after a rough day, I felt both warmth and guilt, a tug of war inside me that left me exhausted. And the most dangerous moments were the smallest gestures, a lingering hand on the shoulder, a shared glance that seemed to communicate more than intended. The way I caught myself leaning closer during conversations, the way I sometimes felt seen in a way that was intensely personal, and yet, intellectually. I knew these were signs of unhealthy dependency, the line I had to respect to preserve our roles and his trust. And over the months, I learned to monitor myself, to force conversation toward platonic ground, to keep distance when needed. Yet even as I did this, the emotional bond had been cemented, and I could not erase it. I could not unsee the reliance we had developed on one another. And the moral tension gnawed at me every day, a constant presence reminding me of the responsibility I had toward both him and myself. The guilt was compounded by my awareness of Anderson, my husband, who served our country with honor but unknowingly left me vulnerable to emotional lapses. The letters we exchanged, video calls, and the few days he was home were filled with love and relief, yet also a pang of regret that I could not share these nuanced feelings with him, fearing misunderstanding and judgment. And I realized the complexity of adult relationships, how lines are drawn not just physically but emotionally, psychologically, and morally, and how those lines can blur when loneliness, admiration, trust, and unspoken need converge. I learned to channel these feelings into care and mentorship rather than dependency, redirecting attention to my own goals, my coaching, my friendships, my personal growth. And as months passed, the emotional intensity slowly transformed into a profound but safe friendship where mutual respect and conscious boundaries replaced the uncontrolled closeness that had once threatened to overwhelm us. And through reflection, journaling, and the support of adult friends, I realized that love is multifaceted, not merely romantic or physical. That connection can exist in many forms, and the ultimate lesson of that period was that emotional intimacy, when unchecked, can be as binding and dangerous as any physical attachment. But when understood and managed, it becomes a source of strength, teaching resilience, empathy, and the value of conscious care. And looking back now, years later, I see that my bond with Ethan, now fully an independent adult, was a mirror reflecting my own vulnerabilities, my capacity for care, my need for connection, and the consequences of unchecked emotional dependence. A story not of illicit acts, but of human complexity, the gray spaces of morality, the struggle between desire and duty, and the enduring lesson that even the strongest, most well-intentioned people can find themselves teetering on the edge of choices they never imagined, and that the courage to recognize, acknowledge, and correct those impulses defines character, nurtures trust, and preserves the delicate balance of love, friendship, and family. And so my story ends not with scandal but with awareness, growth, and the quiet understanding that boundaries are not merely rules but lifelines, that in navigating the emotional storms of life one can find clarity, strength, and redemption without harming others. And that the deepest connections, when managed wisely, can be both sustaining and safe, a testament to the resilience of the human heart, the enduring patience of love, and the wisdom earned only through lived experience.